So HR Synergy is a human resources consulting firm that provides federal and state labor law compliance education and tools to businesses primarily that don't have an HR department, as well as the tools to effectively communicate with their employees.
Simple.
Employee handbooks, job descriptions, policies, etc.
So would you say, when they say HR, I'm an HR generalist or an HR director in a corporation, that's a pretty broad, HR, human resources, is a pretty broad name.
It is. It is. There are various specialties within HR. So you have compliance, which is something that I do, compensation, developing compensation plans and determining what people should be earning based upon the work that they're doing. Benefits, which is a huge thing, determining what type of benefits the company is going to offer. There's training, there's workers' comp, there's employee relations, dealing with the day-to-day issues of having employees. There is quite a wide spectrum within the HR field.
Yeah. You have to know quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, and it's very challenging because each area has its own little things to stay on top of, and because there's so many compliance issues in each area.
And labor laws are changing, especially today.
Mm-hmm.
Changing
Absolutely.
so much since we, back in our, day of working 9 to 5.
9 to
9
5?
to 5, you see? Tim,
That was a long...
you remember 9 to 5, right? There was even
indeed.
a song after it.
That's right.
Long time ago. 9 to 5.
Well, that's why I want you to be my guest instead of my co-host today, because it's Patriots Day, because it's the Boston Marathon. Everybody's going to be glued to their TVs, and so I figured nobody's going to want to come in the pod today. That we're all busy. We're over the Easter holiday and the whole 9 yards. So I had this brilliant idea. I had heard back a couple weeks ago, WMUR had a question online about tattoos, piercings, body art in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me to thinking, that is today's day and age, everybody has a tattoo. Really, almost everybody has a tattoo that I know of.
I do not have a tattoo.
You don't?
Glennis,
I thought you were going to tell me you did.
No.
I don't either.
So
and I don't even
everybody.
I have no pierced ears.
Well, I do have that.
But that's okay. That's
all.
But you don't have a pierced nose. You don't have an earring in your eyebrow.
Nope.
You don't have a piercing in your tongue.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, that is the norm with the younger generation. Even some 40-ish, almost 50-ish people, women, men. It used to be a thing where it was primarily a male thing.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Servicemen would always get tattoos. Army, Navy, always on the upper arm. Right?
Right.
Mom, love you, anchors, whatever service they were in. Then it kind of went on further and became almost a symbol of bad guys. The bad guys had the tattoos, right?
The motorcycle people.
You took the word bikers.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Bikers were the one. And if you saw a tattoo, it was like, ooh. Right?
So true. Yep.
Well, I was at Taste of the Nation, Manchester, last Wednesday, and walking around photographing all the restaurants. And there was this girl, this woman. And I had to take a double take because she was tattooed, except for her face, from neck down to her ankles. The sleeve. And I looked at this woman and I was like, and she owned the restaurant that she was representing. I was like, okay. What if somebody came to you, to your corporation, answered an ad, okay, and completely qualified for the position? It was let's say it was the COO's position. In walks this woman, and her sleeves, both arms and a leg. What would you think? Would you automatically look at her and say, "Oh, she's not going to fit in our culture"?
I think there was a time that we did do that. I think we have a history of stereotyping. And what we really need to look at is what the individual skills, experience, and education are to meet the needs of that position. So you have to think about that first. And obviously you do have to think about, depending upon the type of position that they're applying for, like a COO, what is the image that you want for your company? So just because somebody has tattoos doesn't mean that they are not qualified or a good candidate for that position. And there is a way, that, you can have policies in place that say that if you have tattoos, they must be covered. And that's very common. I don't know. You've probably been to, maybe some restaurants or something where you see some of the waitresses might have a Band-Aid on their nose, and that's to cover a piercing. So it really, as employers, I think that they have found a different way to address people who have piercings and tattoos and so forth, and are really starting to look at what their qualifications are, which I think is important. But, obviously you've got to do what's right for the image of your company as well, and what their visibility is going to be for your company.
The millennials today, it's my daughters have tattoos, and always testing my, Mom, I'm going to get another tattoo. And I would say, fine, be sure it's not in a place that, when you get married and you have this beautiful bridal gown on, you don't see. But you know what? I'm looking through nowadays, even the brides are getting gowns to show off their back tats.
Right. It's a personal choice.
And
I think everybody has their own opinion about that. But for me, I think it's a personal choice. My daughter has been talking about getting a tattoo for the longest time. She's 20 years old, wants to get a yellow rose in memory of her grandmother. And, at one point we had talked about doing that together, and I have now chickened out. So, it's not likely that I'm going to do it, but she's 20, and you know what? Go for it. If it's something sentimental and that's really important to you, go for it. But think about what the impact is for you in your professional career going forward, because people.
And Michelle on the 2gsinapod.com, 2Gs in a Pod on WSMN radio.com/listen-live or 1590 on your dial. And if you're just joining us, we have been talking about body art in the workplace. But before I get into that, I have a special guest on the line who is giving us every month, twice a month, a motivational firewood minute. Our good friend Steve Gamlin, he has a motivational, inspirational minute he's going to give us right now. Are you there, Steve? Give us your minute.
Hello, my 2Gs in a Pod radio friends. In researching this week's message, I discovered that April is Celebrate Diversity Month. According to the Bing.com online dictionary, diversity is a variety of something such as opinion, color, or style. Some people like to enjoy a bowl of plain old vanilla ice cream. Other people prefer 3 different flavors in the same bowl, drowning in caramel, hot sauce, pineapples, crushed walnuts, sprinkles, and a heaping helping of whipped cream. Which one is right? It all depends upon your preferences. But the best part, they are all on the menu and available if you desire them. In the business world, rules are set by leadership and enforced by human resource departments. Do we always agree with them? No. Do companies have a right to set their own rules? Yes. Are the less fair rules occasionally changed by public outcry? Yes, they are. And I like that. Any job I've ever had, I've worked hard to play by the rules, yet still let my light and my bright colors shine the best they can. I hope you do the same and allow others the room to share theirs. Until next time, take care.
Wow. Thank you, Steve. And that will bring us right to where we were discussing before the break about diversity in the workplace. Tattoos, body art. It's diverse.
It is very diverse, and that was definitely appropriate timing.
And that's
Steve.
exactly.
Thank you,
Steve, because it was appropriate. Now we're gonna get a little bit more serious about this.
Now
Michelle.
she's gonna beat me up a little more.
Now I'm gonna beat you up. What is discrimination in the workplace?
So discrimination, there are protected classes, and each state actually has some variations in their protected classes. However, at the federal level, they're pretty, they are standard for, your sex, your race, your marital status, national origin, religion. Those are considered to be protected classes. So when we talk about discrimination and making employment decisions that could result in discrimination, it has to be against one of those protected classes. Okay. So as we talk about people with body art and so forth, piercings, that's not a protected class. Okay. So being concerned about discrimination, I probably wouldn't go that far about worrying about discrimination as long as, there's no other factors in there that could be used. So that's the tricky thing. If you've got someone that's 50 years old that comes in covered in tattoos and you don't hire them, okay, they may not say you didn't hire me because of the tattoos, but you hired me because I'm 50 years old. Bingo. Okay, so you've got to watch out for these different trigger points. But as far as, body art and so forth, they're not considered to be a protected class.
So back to the lady that answered the ad for the COO position. Okay. It's a young, diverse culture that you are the HR director for. She comes in. It's a technical corporation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Techies, as they're called, a lot of them, web developers. A lot of them have body art, very apparent body art. As the HR director representing your technical company, you see this woman come in with all the sleeves, even the leg sleeves. I mean, we are like really tattooed out. She's so qualified. You've come down to 3 candidates. You did all your hundreds of applications, the resumes, you brought people in, you did the phone interviews. She's down to the 3. What do you do?
So again, we talk about the culture, and it sounds like that is something that is acceptable within the culture. She's qualified. She's got all of those pluses that you're looking for in a person. However, the one concern is, being in upper management, because we talked about she's a COO. I'll tell you, nowadays a lot of upper management, it's not suit and ties anymore either. So,
and it hasn't been for a long time.
Right. So it really does depend on the organization. And I would say in this position, I would have a conversation with her if that's the culture within the company, that there's a concern at the management level, the high management level, of the visibility of tattoos and so forth. I would have that conversation. You've got all of the skills. We want to hire you. But one of our biggest concerns is, and this is what, you would need to consider, because you want to make sure, one, this person needs to know all of the information to accept a position. So you want to tell them in the forefront that this is what the expectation is. You're going to have to keep your tattoos covered at all times, while at work. And that's not unusual. There's oftentimes that I write that into policies for my clients, because they do not want, tattoos visible or piercings. I shouldn't say piercings because I can wear earrings.
Right.
So it depends on where they are.
And I've seen very tastefully pierced noses with little diamonds in them. I think it's very pretty.
Right. I think it's a little awkward. So see, like we have a difference of opinion. I would always feel like there was something unnatural in my nose.
That's why I don't have one.
Right.
I mean, geez.
But you think it's very... So everybody has their own opinion.
And if in a position like a COO, you're meeting lots of people, you're representing you the operations of your company.
Yep.
If even something as simple as a nose piercing can be very distracting to the potential client or one of your employees or what, right?
Right. True. That's true. So, you also think about who are the types of customers or, that you're meeting with, clients, et cetera. What is their culture like as well? So obviously, if you're meeting with bankers, the little more, white collar type people, it's definitely going to be a little bit different. So you've got to set those guidelines right in the beginning of what your expectations are. And you do that through your policies and open communication with your employees, as well as your applicants.
So before you even hire this person, it should be, as the employer, as your business, it should be in writing. That policy needs to be in writing, correct?
Right. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend, you just put that policy in place based upon this one interview. It should already be in place. So you want to make sure that you're not discriminating against someone because maybe you have a bunch of males that are tattooed from head to toe, face and everything. And then you have this woman who comes in, she sees all that. Well, why me? Why am I not okay to have tattoos? Is it because I'm a woman?
There we go.
Guess what? Protected class.
There we go.
Right? So you want to make sure that you have all of those things in place. If you've got, your say we're in the IT company, so your support positions, primarily, okay, they can wear T-shirts and what have you. I would say make your policy, dress code policy, to fit the position. Okay.
So dress code policy, which most companies have, that's old.
And that's where your
old
tattoos
school.
And piercings are going to fall in, is right into that dress code policy. So, if you've got people who are primarily in-house all the time, not meeting with anybody, talking over the phone, it may be okay for them to have a T-shirt or a polo or what have you, and not worry so much about covering tattoos. But if you've got individuals who are out meeting with the public, on behalf of your company, meeting with clients, building new business, what have you, those are the ones that you really want to think about. What is that image you want out there for your company? So maybe you have to go to a more professional dress to accommodate getting those qualified individuals that may have some body art. So maybe you now need to, wear a suit or long sleeve shirts. Those types of things.
I wish they would go back to suit and ties and suits for women. I do, because I think companies are taking, I don't know, maybe this is I'm old school. I'm really old school. But there's something about a man in a suit and tie and a woman in a very professional dressed.
There is. It obviously looks like you're very serious about your position, who you work for. It also gives you a level of confidence But on the other hand, if you think about it, it can be very intimidating for people as well.
True. It is today. It's very
Absolutely.
intimidating. As a matter of fact, you never know what you're supposed to wear. I think
What is business casual nowadays?
What is business casual?
Yep.
Or I have my arms are tattooed sleeves. Ooh, how should I approach this? Okay, let's touch on this. You're advising your well, actually our friend Angela would advise a recruitment. The company is business casual. You have your sleeves are tattooed. My suggestion is, you say go on this interview covered up and then tell them on the interview that you have tattoos? Is that a problem in your workplace? How do you handle? Let's take a person who is going in on an interview for a very high position, some managerial position in the tech industry, which is big now.
Right. So I think that really, if we're talking about like agencies, staffing agencies and so forth, I do know based upon, our friend Angela, because I share an office with her, what her practice is. And I think it's important for staffing agencies to really know their clients and to know the culture and what's acceptable in there. So as they have applicants coming in to apply for specific positions, I know, like, Angela is very good about saying to someone, you want to make sure that you dress like this. You want to make sure that your hair is, appropriate. If you're a smoker, don't smoke before you go in. You know what I mean? These types of things. And I feel pretty confident that she would also touch upon that. And if she would say, this is a very professional, I don't think this is a good fit for you, and this is why. And, if she would have that dialogue with the individual, which kind of takes it off the employer a little bit because she does that ahead of time. So she would have that dialogue about, your tattoos may be an issue for this employer. So she would be the one that would have the conversation with the employer. That applicant wouldn't have to worry about it so much.
And if the applicant didn't have somebody like Angela, which let's give Angela a plug here. She's president of Accurate Staffing.
Correct, yep.
In Merrimack. If they didn't go through Accurate Staffing and went on their own, what would you tell our listening audience who, right now, college graduations are coming up. Kids are scrambling to try to get jobs. The kids today, they have tattoos all over the place. Where Annie goes, Bentley, all their clients are Pete Marwick. Is it Pete Marwick anymore? I don't think it's Pete Marwick anymore, but it's all the big accounting firms.
Yep.
Very professional accounting firms. Very big Hill Holiday. These are the kind of jobs that Bentley, I'm just using Bentley because I know from experience, who these kids are interviewing with these top-notch Boston. And a lot of them have tattoos. They did it in college, some of them, through dares or whatever. Oh, she got a tattoo. I'm going to get one here, Mom. I'm going to get...
So we teach our children to have accountability for their actions, correct?
True.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is probably an area that could, live on with them if they make a bad decision. Someone going into or applying for a position within a firm like that, I would recommend anybody going on their first interview, you dress the most appropriately that you possibly can. Cover your tattoos and piercings. Do you want to be judged by that, or do you want to be judged by your skills and your experience? And that's what the job is really about. So if you throw yourself out there, tattoos completely exposed, it kind of gives the image that you're not really... You're not thinking about the company.
Right.
But you're not thinking about what's about the company, and that's what employers...
1590, and we were discussing body art. And I got so involved in the body art questions that I didn't even realize The time is like flying here. We were talking during the break. What would you, these recent college grads, most of them do have, I would say 95% of kids out there have tattoos. Somewhere, piercings, somewhere, belly buttons, noses, tongues. These kids are looking for jobs, and they're looking for good paying jobs, high salaries. They're in all sorts of debt, student loan debt. So they need to, their ROI has to be pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
They're going on their first interviews. What would you advise a new grad, recent college grad, newly graduate? In May is the big graduation year, a month. What would you advise these kids, Michelle, from an employer's standpoint? There's fabulous jobs right now, $60,000 job out there in the accounting world. You got tattoos, you got a tongue piercing. What would you say from having them looking at a employer's perspective?
So I think it's important for them exactly to do that. Look at what the employer is going to be looking at. You have made some decisions on a personal level to have body art, your tattoos, your piercings, etc. Are they appropriate for the business world, the professional world? So if you're looking to be an accountant, work at an accounting firm, you want to dress and show up in a professional manner. And does that mean you need to remove that tongue piercing? Absolutely. Absolutely, you want to do that. You want to cover up your tattoos. As much as you possibly can. If you've got them up your neck, obviously, that's a little difficult in 90-degree weather wearing a turtleneck, right? So you really want to put forth that effort that you are looking to gain professional employment, because that is the image for professional.
And we're all brought up to the first impression is
It
your
lasts.
own. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So if you're going on your first interview for your first real job out of college, you want to look your very best. But you made a few mistakes during college. Your fraternity wanted you to get these tats all over the place. I'm the employer now, and I'm interviewing these kids. And one of them came in, forgot to take out his tongue piercing.
Mm-hmm.
You notice it. He's so used to it, he didn't even realize he forgot to take it out. Not thinking that, this job interview, I got to nail it. He neglected to take it out. You see it. What do you say?
So, for me, again, we're looking at what the image is, what the type of position is, and what your policy is that you have in place. And if this is something that does not fit in your organization and is against your policies, I would, as an employer, interviewer, etc., I would say, I see you have a tongue piercing. That's not allowed here at this workplace. Do you have a problem with removing it? And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's just not appropriate for the workplace.
And if they say, yes, I do, I've always had this piercing, could you say, well, you probably didn't get this job?
Yeah, pretty much. Your position requires you to work with the public, and that is something that, is against our company policies. So, unfortunately, interview's over. Have a good day.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I hope.
I can be pretty direct.
Well, hello. This is the business world now.
Yeah.
And these kids have to understand that.
Well, everyone, not just the kids.
Well, it's true.
Everyone.
I shouldn't put them in a class. I'm always putting these poor millennials into their own little class. But we've got some 40-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
We have some 40-year-olds who should know better in the sense that I'm going on an interview. I need this job. I better remove everything possible that might hinder.
Right. And that's just it. It's really separating your personal choices from professional. And how do you present yourself as a professional to gain employment opportunities, to put a professional image out there for you, and how do you keep your personal separate? And in some cultures, organizations, you can blend the two, but you have to figure out which ones those are. And there's nothing wrong with when you're scheduling an interview or getting scheduled for an interview to ask, what is the attire? You know, because if you're interviewing for a construction company, coming in a 3-piece suit, although it shows that you really care, it's really not necessary to go through all that. So why not ask, what is the attire for your organization while you're having that conversation? And think about it. If someone says, we're professional, you need to wear a 3-piece suit every day, someone's going to think about that. Is this a fit for me? Is this not a fit for me? Before they even get to that interview. Because that culture is important. Feeling comfortable. I feel great when I dress up.
Yeah.
I feel very lazy when I don't dress up.
Right.
But sometimes you need a lazy day.
You do.
Jeans on Friday.
It used to be called Dress Down Fridays.
Yeah. But, I feel better when I dress up. Some other people feel better dressing down. They're more productive when they dress down. So it really depends on the culture that they're going to fit into. So it's not just an employer deciding who's right for that position. It's the candidate deciding, am I right for this company? Is this company right for me? It goes both ways.
Back to the gal.
You're drilling me on this gal.
Because you know what?
Tim, help me here.
She's so qualified. I mean, she's got a pristine background. She really does. Everything. She's just such a fit for this company. But the company's policy, even though it is a marketing, advertising agency, okay, who deal with big clients like Pepsi. I'm just throwing out names.
So as you're talking about something like that, marketing, one thing that's really important is the brand of your company. Guess what? Those people are part of your brand. That image that you're putting out there for your brand. So you have to think about that as a business. Is this okay for your organization? Is it not okay?
But that gal who has the neck tattoos, okay? Mm-hmm. She's just, she's perfect. Yep. She fits this so well. But my advertising agency, you're dealing with very big clients here. Big clients who are billions of dollars to our company. Not all of them accept, look at a woman who's tattooed. She wants the job, though. So here is where we're paying for our accountability. Something that we did in the past is now coming back to bite us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
So does she turn down the job because the company swear you got to cover those tattoos on your neck, even if it's 100 degrees and 95% humidity? That is what our company, you have to present our brand the way we want it presented.
Correct. Does she turn down the job? That's her choice. If she can comply and really wants this position with this opportunity, she can take the job. If she's not comfortable with those guidelines, she doesn't have to take the job. It's a choice.
It's funny because a vision just came through my head. In my day, back in our day, it used to be hippie freaks, right? You wouldn't hire a guy with a ponytail or a beard, a long beard. It was a anti-established, call it whatever it is. But that's how it used to be.
And that still exists. There are still some companies that do not allow men to have facial hair. It's no different, really, than tattoos or body piercings. It's what they want that image to be of their company. And we all have a choice of who we work for. What is the good fit? I can't tell you, in my years of HR, how many times why do employees go to HR? But to complain.
Always.
And they would complain about this employee and that employee and what have you. And, at some point you say, you know what? You make a choice. You don't have to stay here. It's your choice to stay with the company. Everybody doesn't have to be the best of friends, but you need to work together. If you just don't like somebody or what have you, or you don't like the way the company operates, you have a choice.
So, as the employer, on a dare, one of my employees, okay, here we go.
Uh-oh, got her going, Tim.
Was having a good time on a weekend, okay? And the dare was to get a mohawk. There was a lot of money on the table to get that mohawk, and we do it. We go into work Monday morning with this extreme mohawk. What as the employer can I say to this person? What the heck happened over the weekend?
What's your policy about that? Tell me what your policy is, Glennis.
No must be clean.
Okay. So if you were driving 100 miles on the highway and you got pulled over by a cop,
whoa,
you're going to get a ticket because you didn't follow the rules, right? So if you have violated the company policy, then the next thing is, what does the policy say? Does it say you can and will be terminated? Or does it say you have to go through progressive discipline? Well, how do you go through progressive discipline to grow your hair back? This is not an image for the company. You really have to think about that. Can they terminate based upon that? Sure. If the employee knows that this is not acceptable in the workplace, sure they can. They made another bad choice. They have accountability for their actions. Speeding on the highway. I speed everywhere. Shh.
So do I.
Yeah.
I've sweet talked out of it too.
Gotta get there. But you get a ticket. That's your accountability. You have to have accountability for your actions if you're not complying with the rules. Bada bing.
Whoa, we just ended on a perfect note. This was fantastic. I hope our listeners did get a good, you're going to be faced with this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Going out
It's
interviewing.
Fun stuff.
It's fun stuff, though. Yeah.